We have just about 5 minutes, I think, for Q&A. Do folks have questions? And I'll let Nick and Aaron, thank you both for those great presentations, call out.
Aaron, first I want to thank you for the shout out for the Denton Declaration. That was actually a product of one of these symposia 2 years ago, and we're really thrilled that it's gotten some international momentum. You can see the list of signatories on the website, and I have no idea how people in Peru heard about it, but I'm really glad they did. I also want to just say that everything you said in the last couple of slides as applied to the sciences goes double for the humanities and the social sciences. I think it's really crucial now, especially when the humanities are in sort of a crisis of finding their place in the academy in the next wave, that they be more open about sharing their work, and I think that there's true value in sharing humanities work as well as sciences work.
Right, so thank you for your comment. Apologies to the humanities. I tend to my personal bias is for the sciences, so I tend to always speak about the sciences, but you're absolutely right that that in fact everything I'm saying here today should really apply to academia in general, including the humanities. There are so many reasons across disciplines to make your work open.
This is another comment for Aaron, question. I work at the University of Texas at Austin, and we spend millions and millions of dollars purchasing and renting content for our researchers, which kind of artificially insulates them from open access issues. And I'm not saying that this is okay, but I'm just kind of curious in an institution like the National Institutes of Public Health, where there's such a limited access to content, I'm wondering if there's any discussion that goes on about how the review evaluation criteria is kind of directly affecting this access issue that you also have.
Absolutely. So it's interesting because, as you say, in many universities here, for example, in the U.S., there are many students and professors that never really run into a paywall. They don't have those problems of access. And so when you go to them and say, look, there are many people throughout the world, many scientists who don't have access, it's sort of a strange concept for them. In Mexico, that's not the case. You don't have to argue the benefits of open access to people there. You don't get strange looks. They understand that this is a serious problem because it's something they run into every day. But as you said, there's a huge conflict because the incentive system, the evaluation system, does not support that idea. And so I haven't heard, personally, discussions at the higher levels about changing those incentive and reward systems. But I think it's absolutely crucial because it puts, the current situation puts these ideas in conflict. So what the researchers know is necessary in terms of making their work open, they can't do. Right? And that's just so frustrating. And I can understand why there are many researchers there that say, I have to publish in this closed access journal. I have to publish in Nature or Cell or Science. Because if they don't do that, their work disappears, like mine. My article disappeared. Literally, from the electronic system that evaluates me, deleted. And so until we fix that, there's going to be this huge mismatch. And even if people strongly believe in open access, there's not an incentive for them to act on that. I wish I could give a more positive outlook in the sense that that's going to change sometime soon. I hope it does. But until then, we just have to keep shouting very loud about why it needs to change.
Quickly, to respond to your point, I think, at institutions that I guess have, the benefit of having, large amounts of money to spend on institutional subscriptions, I think that just sort of reinforces the need to do the awareness-raising efforts to make sure that faculty, for example, know how much the University of Texas is paying for its journals. As you said, a lot of people have no idea And at least for graduate students and students in general, one of the things that we found is that the amount that your institution spends on journals or the most expensive journals that you subscribe to can be shocking statistics that are helpful in sort of getting people to take notice and sort of go, huh, I didn't realize that. And as Aaron mentioned, I think letting them know that a lot of other people don't have the benefit of clicking through Google Scholar and actually getting the article. That librarians have done a fantastic job at getting people the access they can where they can afford to. But it's gotten so good that when it's frictionless, they don't realize the sort of system that's behind it.
Just two more comments. This is why I think it's such a fascinating idea you said with the OA button. They're thinking about actually emailing authors and showing them how often people are running into paywalls. I think this is a fabulous idea because there are many scientists out there who don't realize that their work is not accessible. We need to make them realize that their work is not accessible, and that's a great way to do it. And the second thing, this is sort of just a little pipe dream of my own, but I think it would be fabulous to run a campaign where we actually ask researchers at Research One universities to put themselves in the shoes of others. Go for a week without your institutional access, and then see how you feel. Yeah.
I've got a question. So I will absolutely echo the fact that this, received wisdom that open access isn't peer reviewed, isn't valuable, is out there among university administrators. How do we get you guys with these kind of messages in front of, maybe this is a message for Nick and Spark, in front of provosts? Because I'm tired of hearing that kind of received wisdom that comes from predatory publishers. And we had Jeffrey Beal last year at this conference, talking about that problem. But we need to get that message to senior administrators who are controlling, steering, tenure review, and what career arc progression looks like at institutions and the expectations for it. So how do we do that? Any ideas on that?
Yeah, so I think from our part, that's precisely one of the questions that I'm really hoping to try to explore during this year's Open Access Week and leverage the theme of Generation Open to go through those questions about how this bias towards impact factor affects the decisions to publish and how we can get exactly what you're saying. So in terms of addressing that question, I'm hoping that we can help provide content and resources that help explain the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment. And explore those questions with receptive provosts. I think ultimately probably one of the most effective things, is to find the sort of forward-looking provosts like at Virginia Commonwealth University or the other universities that are starting to include support for open access publication, in their P&T documentation. Have them talk about the benefits of that, what they're thinking behind it. Because I think ultimately, when you're talking about people at the provost level, it's most effective to have a similar provost that's talking about how this initiative or this change in policy is actually benefiting them. So I think cultivating sort of champions on the issue that are at the same level of the people that we're trying to convince will be helpful, and give people like you ammunition when you're going to talk to provosts. You can point them to a link to a video of them talking about it or written statements. And I know that there's certainly some of that with the resources that are built around the DORA declaration. But I think there needs to be more to help equip people to be effective advocates.
So here's a personal pledge and an offer. I'll offer to fly you two both back for a personal meeting with our provost to tell him all the things that you said to us today.
So you have time tomorrow?
Any other questions? If there are no further questions, let's thank our panelists again. Thank you. We're going to go to lunch now, so if you go straight out there to the lobby again, people will shepherd you just right across the way, the lunch room where the meal is going to be. And Susan here and Mike in the back have instructions and can help folks that are still having network connectivity issues. And we'll reconvene in 1 hour for Salvatore Melle's talk about Scope 3.